Google. Let's go get him again.
What's going on, fragrance family? Welcome to the Rogue Joey channel. I'm your host, Mark. Today we are doing a special sampling samples. It is your subscribers' choice. You voted and chose this one with a total of 32 votes. It beat out 4 other designer fragrances, and you wanted me to review this one right here. This one is the hype beast at the moment on social media, and it's from my darling Le Male collection. This one called Elixir. Now, with all the hype beast new releases, we need to temper expectations and need to stop blind buying new releases that influencers think you should buy. Nothing in the Le Male lineup has even come close to the original classic Le Male as far as sales go and as far as composition goes. You had an all-star perfumier, Francis K, make Le Male not only a utility fragrance, which you can wear in all sorts of seasons and occasions, but also an art piece. A lot of the Le Male releases at this moment are all being utility pieces. They're not classics. They're never going to be classics. They're going to be discontinued. You can bet on it. Le Male is staying true to its roots. So grab your popcorn and watch me, an actual reviewer, not an influencer, do his thing here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. If it's a brand new release that's really great and you should get it, I will tell you. But I'm not scared to go against the grain. I've been on YouTube long enough to know what sells for your channel. And I know this particular release, as far as the bottle and everything that goes with it, the note breakdown and everything, this is a sellable item for an influencer. But some say that's my mistake, that I don't go with the river, we'll say. I go against it if need be. I don't go against it just because. So unfortunately, the influencers have gone with the river on this one. A lot of them. And I know you. I know you. So let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one. Release date, of course, was 2023. Concentrations parfum. The nose behind this, Quentin Bisch. Quentin is, you can call him the in-house perfumier for Jean-Paul Gaultier because he's done Le Male Le Parfum, Le Beau, Scandale pour Homme, Le Male Essence de Parfum, Le Beau Le Parfum, among others. Like the resume for Jean-Paul Gaultier and Quentin, they like each other, we'll say. And his tag with the brand, I think personally, and what his strength is these sweet syrupy things. So let's see what he does here. The big notes to my nose. Now your favorite influencer is going to pinpoint the sexy notes, the honey, the tobacco in this fragrance. Forget that jazz. I'll tell you why later on. And I'll tell you, but the big notes in this one are all sweet notes. Vanilla, benzoin, and tonka bean. Now benzoin and tonka bean give vanillic tendencies, so vanilla almost gets eaten by those two. But let's get to sniffing, and I'm gonna let you know what this one smells like. A lot of you really want my take, and I'm sure why, because I'm the first one to review Le Male on YouTube. Yes, I was the very first one to review Le Male back in 2009, which is still blows my mind that I'm the first one. Back in 2009, like, who didn't review this? Well, and I'm a huge fanboy. I have the biggest Le Male collection, Jean-Paul Gaultier collection, out of all the influencers, not including backup bottles. I have them all. So Le Male started with me, of course, back in my high school days, and it's still a classic in my eyes. Again, it's got utility, but it also has some art that a lot of people kind of push to the side. You know, it's just a lavender, vanilla, minty thing, but it really is well blended. It really is not just a clubbing scent, when back in the day, that's what they were all calling it. It's not just that. You can wear this 4 seasons. Anyway, it's not a review of Le Male, it is Elixir. I am wearing it today. I did get a sample here from myfragrancesamples.com. No affiliation. I don't have a coupon code or anything. I don't need that. But I bought this just to kind of remind me of the introduction. Here I am wearing it as my scent of the day, but I want to kill my little sample and get into it. So Le Male Elixir, you know, it started off with some promise. The opening of Le Male Elixir shows a small glimpse of the original mint, lavender, vanilla combo that I absolutely love. But I mean small, very small, tiny. The mint is a shadow of itself, but still present. The lavender is present, and still solid. I hate a bad made lavender, and a lot of designers utilize a lavender in their fragrances that kind of smell like cleaner to me. This is still solid. It's still unique because of how good this lavender is to my nose. And that lavender note really helps the smoothness of Elixir. It really does. It really smooths things out. And this one does have some ultra mild tendencies to it, sweetness overload. I wouldn't go that far, but it is almost like a cleaned up part of ultra mild, more modern 2023 than anything. So now we spoke about the mint and the lavender, small portions in this release, but the vanilla, out of the big three, it's huge in Elixir. There's a lot of vanilla in here. It is the biggest note of the original big three in this scent, and it's not a joke, by a large portion. Honestly, the original Fougère barbershop that I absolutely love, that DNA of Le Male, gets a sneak peek here in the opening. And it seems to come and go in this fragrance. It does. In the back end, it's almost lost in translation, but there's so much sweetness overpowering the whole thing. But there's a little bit of that original DNA, that lavender, and that mint dies real quick. But that lavender shows up once in a while, and that vanillic sweetness with the lavender reminds me of the original barbershop aromatics. But the aromatics are very much hidden here. It's a thicker release, and I don't want to go too thick. It's a mid-grade as far as thickness goes, or as bulk goes. You've had ultra mals that are very thick and huge. The sweetness here is very overpowering, but again, it has some smoothness to it. But if you look for mint, lavender, you have to dig deep to find them in this release. You have to have a fairly good nose to find definitely both of them in here, and how they position themselves in the fragrance. I'll be honest, this thing, as far as build goes, it's garbage. As far as build goes, there's noses really can't discern what's in this release. It really is a big cloud of nothingness. However, we're looking at a utility fragrance here. I've already known that from first sniff. Now in this intro, you can spot these fragrances, the mint and the lavender and the vanilla, but it'll be way more difficult in the back end of this release once it gets on skin a little bit more, and it's starting to resemble less and less of a Le Male release. The more the time ticks, the less it smells Le Male, and then it starts going into Macy's counter section where it smells like a lot of things. Now Bish is known for his sweet synthetics. In here he flexes them a little bit less than he has done in the past for Jean-Paul Gaultier. He has done some bombs for them. So they are dominant here, but they're not, let's say the volume's not turned to overdrive. It is in let's say the grand section, not overdrive, a little less. You'll get the vanillic tones from the tonka bean. You're gonna get vanillic tones from the benzoin as well. They both give out vanillic tones. You'll also get a honeyed sweetness, which at this point you're like, holy crap, tonka, benzoin, vanilla, honey, lots of sweetness. And it actually, the honeyed sweetness, and I'm going to get to it, it doesn't have its edges as a lot of great honey fragrances have. It's not like that, but it gives out an ambery glow to the fragrance. So it gives it a warmth. It gives it a orange glow to the fragrance. So as far as a honey note goes, don't expect a true blue honey note here like we have smelt in the past with excellent designer honey-based fragrances. None of the notes, honestly, in this release really have a roundness to them. And I know a lot of you will know what I'm talking about, like the honey, and we're going to talk about a tobacco note in this. That one's funny. But benzoin and all that, even the mint and the lavender probably is the best piece in this release because of its roundness. And what I mean by that is you don't get the full effect of a tonka bean. Let's use that as an example. The tonka bean in this fragrance doesn't have a cherry hue. It doesn't have the almond goodness as a Guerlain release would. The honey is missing some those roundness. The mint is missing some of that roundness. It doesn't have that personality you expect from these kind of notes. Now that's where this fragrance goes more utility. So when a fragrance reviewer, and you watch your favorite fragrance reviewer, and they say this is a great honey note in this release, I'd like to know what a bad honey note is to you, because this has not that kind of DNA as far as some of the best honey-based fragrances, even the tobacco. So the opening in this release is sweet. It's not the sweetest of the line, but it's up there. And what I like is that this fragrance, now I'm going to give some positives. What I do like, it has some smooth lines in this fragrance. The transitions are pretty good. The golden hues are excellent. There's a creamy nuance that I absolutely love, that I think the lavender plays a part in it, which are all good things to note. Clearly, up top, the benzoin, the vanilla, the tonka bean, honey are all central in this release. It's all very much sweet notes that are central, and it makes this release a one-dimensional scent in my personal opinion. It reminds me of Ultra Mall in its simplicity, but not as strong, not as childish, but still for the young pups out there, the ones that are fairly new to the fragrance game. This is where this release goes for me. In the mid to the deep dry down, the scent removes most of the Le Male DNA, if not all. Lavender actually is trying to do a good job to keep this thing all together. That Le Male core is just getting ripped apart in this release. And unfortunately, what you come to expect from the Le Male DNA is not there anymore. It's truly engulfed to smell like everything else that is selling around on Macy's, Sephora, you name it. It also has a tobacco nuance. Now I want to kind of tackle this tobacco nuance. I wouldn't really call this a tobacco note. I'm hard pressed to even say it in this fragrance review, because you don't get a full factor of tobacco. And the reason why I don't call this a tobacco note is I don't see the full factor of this note. The tobacco note, I've sent some in niche and of course designer releases that gives aspects of a tobacco note here, that you'll get some. Here the tobacco note, if you call it that, it just gives the scent a darkness. That's all it does. It's a light secondary note. It's something that a trained nose, you know, kind of will see that there's some darkness in here, but other than that, you cannot detect a tobacco like tobacco leaf or anything tobacco based in this release, in my personal opinion. So in this dry down, the scent goes a little more ambery, more golden. There's that hue from the benzoin, the tonka bean, and maybe that tobacco honey melange. You'll get minor powderiness in this from the tonka bean, but nothing like some of the other Le Male releases that do have lots of powderiness. It truly is a ghost of itself in this release, which I guess for the kids, it's a good thing. For me, it seems like you lost your identity. You know, this is a classic for a reason. We all see the torso, we all know about the mint, lavender, and vanilla. There was a lot of pretenders out there back in the 90s when this first released, but nothing has stood the test of time like Le Male, still selling well to this day. This release smells like something that could have been made by Paco Rabanne for the 1 million line. It could have been made by Azzaro for the Wanted series. You put any sticker on this, it doesn't have an identity. And that's the problem here for me personally. I just feel like it's same thing over and over again. Overall, this isn't anything new to the designer game. It reminds me of some of the Le Male counterparts that it really isn't setting itself apart, namely Le Parfum to the Ultra Male edition. It pulls a little bit from those. So it doesn't have any personality on its own. And I feel like it could be a Paco Rabanne release, an Azzaro release, it could be Invictus, it could be a lot of things. It really lost its DNA. And that's where I'm disappointed in this release. Is it a good fragrance? It does have some good things that I said in the fragrance review, but also I'm not here to sugarcoat you and try to sell you the shiny new toy. So let's get into seasons, day, night, performance, versatility, all that good stuff. Seasons that I would recommend this: fall, winter, start of spring, good for rainy days or even rainy nights, overcast nights. I felt like with this DNA, you won't go wrong. Day or night, both. Again, this is a utility fragrance, so it does have versatility to it. So mostly I feel like this is a little more juvenile for, you know, once you hit your 30s, I feel like this is more of a casual use type of scent. Versatility, again, I feel like more casual wear. It might be a signature for somebody when they first start out, but eventually it's going to start being more of a utility thing where you're going just to wear it for certain things. So as far as performance goes, now I did check out a few reviews on this before I shot my video just to see. I like to do that from time to time. Performance, you're getting a lot of scales, different scales on this. Personally for me, off my sample, longevity was 8 to 10 hours. Longevity, no problem. And a lot of people love these beast mode designer fragrances, especially new releases. They're like, oh, I gotta get the OG before it gets reformulated, who cares? Longevity was 8 to 10 hours with average projection. It has average projection, and with these designer hype beasts, I like to overspray sometimes to just see people's reactions, and you'll see that in my fragrance reviews just to see if I do have reactions. I did not get as much reactions as other people, and it's not because I have an ugly face, maybe I do, but I've had reactions from other designer releases, especially just simple ones like Le Male, that people can smell me and go, that is great. I feel the projection in this one is weak, but the longevity is good. I feel like the bros out there and try to sell you this with beast mode, projection, longevity, I get compliments. Come on, don't fall for it. It lasts. That's one thing I'm going to tell you. 8 to 10 hours. But the projection on this, after a few hours, this thing goes done. So my final thoughts on Le Male Elixir and my time with it. This sample is a lot bigger than my little Lucky Scent samples where I only get like 1 or 2 wearings. This gave me like 3-4 days of wearings, which is great. But my final thoughts are disappointment. I understand this is a business and you need to copy paste, and this isn't anything new to my Le Male line, including, you know, Le Male in the Navy to the Le Male Pie Pie, whereas they stole other ideas, plopped it onto my beauty over here and called it a day. You know, use the torso to sell. If you're a noob to the fragrance game, I could see you really liking this. Perhaps new to the Le Male line, this can be an excellent first new purchase for you. I'm not saying it's a bad release. It's not a 0 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a score at the end of this video. By the way, it's an okay performer. It's actually a good performer as far as longevity goes. It's gonna last. I don't think it projects as good as a lot of its counterparts in the designer realm, especially new releases. It does a lot of things that others do now, and it does it well. So it is up to the competition in the designer game as far as some of the new releases, if that's your thing. To the seasoned Le Male lovers, this seems very redundant. Puig has successfully in the past several years milked the Le Male namesake and sacrificed its classic DNA to throwing anything that works now and throw it on top of it. This isn't original by any means. Anyone that owns 20 bottles or more in your collection are lying to you if they are saying this is a unique release. This is a 10 out of 10 to their nose. I don't see it. This isn't original by any means. The main idea is that influencers throw around with this release about it being great, that it has an amazing tobacco note, it has an amazing honey note, which honestly are rounded. Well, in the case of the tobacco note, it's such a minor note to the whole idea to my nose. The honey note would be hard to find for a new nose as it's being suffocated by all the other pixie stick kind of sweetness in here. And I love my sweet fragrances. Damn, like I started with Le Male. That is a sweet release. That's where I started my journey. And I love sweet designer releases. You know, proof's in the pudding as a fragrance reviewer. I know some reviewers that don't have a sweet tooth that gave this a 10 out of 10. What are you doing? You don't like this. Don't fall for the fake hype. Influencers see a shiny new bottle that looks good, a brand that gets them clicks, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Le Male, a note breakdown that looks sexy, interesting, and it's an automatic 10 out of 10 out of them for several people following each other in a big little circle, you know what. You know, they're all looking at each other, let's do the exact same thing. Authentic reviewers, where are you? I'll end this video with a couple questions. Is this a good release? It's okay for what it's going against. Is it a 10 out of 10? No, hardly. As far as the designer releases, I don't see this as a 10 out of 10. Is it an instant classic? No, this thing will get discontinued. I can bank on it. Will I get a bottle? Yes, I'm a collector. So if you see it on my channel, you don't have to come back to me and say, haha, you got one. No, I am gonna get one. I get them all. I get them all. So overall, this release is for the noobs out there. That's what I'm saying. Or an influencer that has a YouTube channel and needs a new shiny new toy to show to their subscribers. Keep receipts, folks. See how many of your favorite reviewers push this bottle in 2024. I'm calling it now. This hype will end after Christmas. It has to prolong because there's not really much coming out. Obviously near Christmas. All the new releases are usually spring and summer based. You're gonna see a couple fall releases and that's about it. So you're gonna see several months of top lists, including this thing for fall. Obviously, this is what the influencers bought it for. They're going to buy it for their top releases of 2023. They're gonna put it at number 1, number 2. You're gonna see a lot of that, but it's gonna rest in 2024. You're not gonna see this gold thing anymore. Unfortunately for them, for you. Don't buy it. So if I had to give it a score, and you know, all the outside noise, and I'm saying a lot of this stuff for you that's new and just actually clicking on my video by mistake, all my subscribers know my taste and know what I'm saying here. A lot of the fluff here is not for you guys, it's for people that are new to my channel. Getting out of the fluff, the influencer, the hype, and everything else. Is this a solid release? Yeah. Is it a 10? No. Is it a 9? No, not even close. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 bottles. It is a solid release in the designer realm, but not as close as what other people are saying. And this is coming from a Le Male Jean-Paul Gaultier fanboy here. I want good releases from the brand. You know, putting away the bottle, the packaging, and everything else, which is really nice. The scent itself inside, it's a utility fragrance. You can buy an Invictus fragrance. You can buy a 1 million bottle, and it will do the same thing as this thing. Maybe even better in some cases. So that's my thoughts. Now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. I know there's going to be some noobs to my channel. Hopefully some of you subscribe and enjoy this. The ones that don't will say their thoughts in the comments below and let me know that this is a instant classic. And as always, a great or poor fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.